Go, where I provide telemedicine for women. Where we can, it's a video appointment through like kind of things like FaceTime and Skype, and we can do lots of things. We can talk about birth control, get a birth control prescription, talk about menopause, treat simple urinary tract infections, vaginal infections. We can do all these wonderful things while you're in the comforts of your own home, and I'm actually right here in my office. So if you need an appointment, make sure that you go to womenshealthonthego.com and book your appointment. And if you don't need an appointment right now, make sure you sign up for my newsletter. I have lots of great information on there, and then, you know, I send you updates. I send you a newsletter a big newsletter once a month. So lots of great women's health tips. So make sure that you go on over to the website and check it out. This month, it's now February. Welcome to Heart Month. Not only is it Valentine's Day, but it is National, they say Heart Health Month. I'm going to say Healthy Heart Month. And it's really, really important. Heart disease is the #1 killer in women over any cancer. 1 in 3 deaths in women are from cardiovascular disease. And the statistics show that is showing that every minute a woman is dying of a heart attack or stroke or some kind of heart disease problem. So make sure that you take care of your heart so that you know, we can all live long, healthy lives. All right, so this evening I did last week I put the idea of either an anti-inflammatory diet or birth control options, and I had lots of votes for an anti-inflammatory diet. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And the reason why I thought about doing this is because a lot of the things that I talk about, I really do believe, are based on inflammation in the body. And there is a lot of talk, there's a lot of research and everything based on inflammation in the body and causing lots of various disease processes. So what I want to talk about is kind of what causes this inflammation in our bodies. And I am under I don't know if you want to call the belief, but I totally believe that stress causes so many problems in our lives. Stress is the #1 cause for disease, and there's actually that theory that stress equals disease, because stress is really hard on the body. So what happens? Our bodies are able to handle stress, just a little bit of stress, a little stress that we go on throughout the day. But when we have chronic stress on our body, that's where we end up having problems. And let me kind of try to explain. So our bodies are all run on hormones, starting with cholesterol, and there's a whole bunch of different hormones that go on a cascade to run everything in our body. And one of those hormones, the stress hormone, is cortisol, and that's one where when our bodies are exposed to any kind of stress, I'm sure everyone has heard of the flight or flight response. And what happens is that, I'm sorry, somebody's saying that my phone is a little, I think hopefully I have my video, it's coming through fine. So hopefully, okay, it looks good now. Okay, thank you. Hi, Dave. Thank you for letting me know it looks good now. I know before I was a little crooked. I was having a little bit of a problem, but I fixed it. But anyway, so let's talk about stress. Now, stress on the body, our bodies are able to handle a little stress. And when our body is exposed to stress, as I was saying, there's a hormone cascade throughout, and one of them is cortisol, which is considered the stress hormone. The cortisol helps regulate our immune system, and it helps makes our lives, helps maintain all the rest of the hormones in our lives so we can have a healthy body. Now, when our bodies are exposed to stress, there's a couple of things that happen. One, the cortisol level is released and therefore ends up releasing a large amount of glucose because glucose is going to give us immediate energy. So glucose goes throughout our bodies, our muscles, because remember the whole thought process of the body is that we've got to get away from the stress right away. So we have an increased level of glucose. And then what that also does is it inhibits insulin from being produced, because if you know, insulin is what also helps regulate our sugar levels. So if the body wants us to have high sugar to make sure that we can react to the stress, the body's also not going to want the body to produce insulin to bring down that glucose, because it needs to have that glucose to get out. And then also what's going to happen is there's going to be epinephrine that's going to be released. The arteries in our body are going to start to narrow, so the blood gets to be able to be pumped a lot faster and quicker to everything, you know, our legs and our arms, so that again, if we have more blood there, we can run out of that kind of situation, okay? And when the situation is resolved, then the cortisol level goes down, all of our other functions go back to normal, and that's typically what is supposed to happen. But what happens when our body is under chronic stress? It ends up that your body is constantly, you know, releasing hormones, you know, the glucose, your arteries are narrowing, your heart's pumping more. So what's going to end up happening is you're going to start getting things like diabetes. You're going to end up getting things like heart disease. If you think about also, you know, remember I said there's lots of these hormones that are in our body. And there's lots of hormones in our body, and it's like a cascade effect. So then if you're having this chronic stress, you're having the chronic high levels of cortisol, then you're also going to end up probably having thyroid problems, fertility problems, problems maybe with dementia. Then, you know, it's inflammation, stress, and then it's also going to cause inflammation in the body, which we're talking about. Eventually we're going to get to an anti-inflammatory diet, but all of these things just kind of cascade down, and this is why I believe, and I know there's lots of other people do, but I am a firm believer that we have disease because of stress, which then leads to all these other actions in the body, and then also inflammation. When I talk to a lot of patients about various medical conditions that are going on in their body, such as ovarian cysts, fibroids, irregular bleeding, I can go into also other kind of, there's Chinese medicine, and when we're dealing with the pelvic region and there's blood flow, then we have liver stagnation. You know, there's all these different kinds of theories, but like right around here when we have those kind of problems, a lot of people talk about inflammation in that area, and we need to start doing an anti-inflammatory diet in order to, an anti-inflammatory diet so we can decrease the inflammation in the area. So hopefully that kind of makes sense of why I want to talk about this, and how actually the whole stress, cortisol, what the body does when the cortisol is released, and one of the things is definitely end up having inflammation, and other diseases end up occurring. So anti-inflammatory diet. Now, basically, an anti-inflammatory diet in a way is pretty much just eating healthy. When I was trying to prep for this show, and I'm like looking at, because you talk about all different kinds of ways that people should be eating, or what they should be eating, what they should not be eating. And at the end of the day, it's just really, 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 really healthy eating, which is unfortunately very hard in our society these days. You know, we're always on the go. There's all these processed food packages in the food store, which tend to unfortunately be a lot cheaper than actually eating really good fruits and vegetables, and all those other kind of great foods that we should be eating. It's it's hard to have that kind of diet when we're like we're rush, and we're go. But basically an anti-inflammatory diet. I'm going to go through all the different things to herbs, different kinds of fruits and vegetables and stuff that are going to be good to put into your diet. One, you want to increase fiber in your diet. One good reasons why we want to besides the anti-inflammatory diet, is we want to have good fiber in our diet as well, is because that's going to help us keep regular, which is also going to help release toxins in our bodies, and it's also going to help release extra circulating estrogen in our body. For us women, a lot of the times we have extra circulating estrogen, which can cause some of the hormonal problems and some of the female problems that we have, and we want to help release those toxins from our body. And as we know, that's from doing bowel movements, is one of the wonderful ways that we eliminate toxins from our body. So one, do we want to also do it for anti-inflammatory, but also just to help release toxins in our body. Fibers such as whole grains, barley, oatmeal, eating fruits and vegetables. You're going to probably hear me say fruits and vegetables a couple of times here. So eating lots of fruits and vegetables. You need to get what they say 9 servings of fruits and vegetables a day. Now, how does that look? They say that it's about, for cooked foods, it's about a half a cup, and for raw, it's a cup of fruit, that you should get. You should get at least 9 servings of that fruits and vegetables a day. Now, when we look at one other really good thing to add to our diets is also what we cook with. Cooking with herbs. A lot of people, when they watch my show and stuff like that, I'm always trying to talk about, I love herbal medicine, and trying to get different herbs into our cooking as well can be very beneficial. So some foods that are anti-inflammatory, some herbs that are anti-inflammatory, one is turmeric. Turmeric is a great herb. I've used turmeric in so many ways. I've put it in when I make, they call it golden milk. It's a little like almond milk with some turmeric in it. It doesn't really taste bad at all. Turmeric is actually like a rhizosome, almost like garlic is, but it's a very orangey color. It can also kind of stain like if your fingers and stuff like that, so you kind of got to be careful with it. But turmeric is not only a great anti-inflammatory, it's also great for like headaches and pain relief. It's really, really great herb. You can do it. They do sell them in like tablet form. But if you want to, definitely just cook with it. Just put it all over your food. And I personally don't think it changes the flavor of your food drastically, the word is, drastically. So it's just, for me, it's mild tasting. Ginger, which is also, I think that I just said before turmeric is like garlic, but I meant to say turmeric is like ginger. Sorry about that. Sometimes I get a little, I'm talking a little too ahead of everything. So ginger and turmeric are a lot alike. They're rhizosomes. But ginger is a great anti-inflammatory. You can use ginger for so many things. I make when I'm not, I make tea with it. I grate it and I put it in some heat. I add like some hot water when I'm not feeling well. Ginger is really good for your stomach. Ginger is a great anti-inflammatory. Sage is another. Also, everybody's commenting, and I love that you're all commenting. This is really wonderful, but I'm trying to keep talking. So if you have a question, I will try to get to it till later. I do promise you that. I'm just trying to make sure that I focus because I sometimes lose my train of thought. So, sage is another great anti-inflammatory. Rosemary is another great herb for that, and rosemary is definitely so much research on rosemary and mental health. It really, really helps with dementia. So if you want to prevent that for later in life, if you start adding it to your diet now, that would be really wonderful. I love rosemary. Rosemary is also like essential oil for your hair. If you want to, when you're doing your shampoo, if you have essential oil, if you put like a drop of it in there and you put it on it helps keep your hair nice and smooth and shiny, and it helps it grow. Rosemary is really, really good. Thyme is another great anti-inflammatory. Thyme is also good if you're getting sick. It's also good to help antibacterial and viral as well. And then there is cinnamon. Cinnamon is another great herb. I actually put a little bit of cinnamon in my coffee every morning. There is some research with cinnamon and diabetes. You do have to be careful with cinnamon that you don't do too much, but cinnamon is another great, I mean, you can add cinnamon to so many things. I mean, I love cinnamon. You can even put a cinnamon stick in your tea. I actually just the powder, I put it right into my coffee and I kind of drink it that way in the morning. And then that's it for kind of like, you know, herbs. I also drinking lots of green tea is another great anti-inflammatory. It's high in antioxidants as well. And then other kinds of foods that you can add for your anti-inflammatory: garlic. Garlic's great for a lot of things. It's also antiviral. It's antibacterial. When you crush the garlic, the psyllium gets released, and that's a really great, when you're sick, if you can do some tea, you can even do like garlic and a little turmeric, and then add like either a lemon or a little honey to it. That's a great tea that you can make when you're not feeling good. But garlic's a great, another anti-inflammatory. Scallions, onions, those are really, really great as well. Then when we look at other kinds of vegetables, cabbage, cauliflower, mustard greens, Brussels sprouts, these are all really, I mean, for the most part, all fruits and vegetables are really great for you, and they're all going to provide anti-inflammatory properties to them. But some of them have really strong anti-inflammatories, like the ones that I mentioned. Now, when we talk about fats that we're eating, one, of course, we want no trans fats. Those are hydrogenated or partially I can't even say the word. Hydrogenated. Oh my gosh, I can't say it for some odd reason. But those are the kind of oils that you're going to definitely, they're like processed. And those are the, like, you're going to see like in margarine. And you're going to see, like when you look at your box, make sure you go to the food store and you're looking for these kind of hydrogenated fats. It'll say it in there. And it's going to be like in crackers, and it's going to be in cookies. And then if you're frying foods, it'll be in there, and potato chips and tortilla chips and all that kind of stuff. So you really want to try to stay away from those. Those are really, really, they're bad for you. Very, no good. And then you want to eliminate your saturated fats. Now, I want to talk briefly about coconut oil, because, you know, when you read some, they talk about like avoiding coconut oil, and then when you read others, they say yes to coconut oil. Coconut oil is a medium chain fatty acid, and there is a lot of research about coconut oil. There's research about there's a thing called oil pulling, when you just take a little bit of coconut oil and you put it on in a teaspoon and you put it in your mouth and you just swish it around, and it's like it's like a mouthwash, I guess you would call it. And you have to swish it around in your mouth for about 10 to 15 minutes. And there is actually research that shows that it helps get rid of the plaque along, you know, your gums, gingivitis, bacteria that can build up, that can cause infections and other diseases. Gum disease is known for heart disease. So it has beneficial for that. There is also studies done with coconut oil and weight loss, that it helps actually people lose abdominal fat. Then there's also research about cholesterol, that it does increase a little bit of the LDLs, but it also increases your HDL. But there's sometimes I think there's debate with the whole heart disease and coconut oil. You'll read some researchers that say this and others that will say other. It's a really kind of conflicting, I would call conflicting research for me. There was also even a research done on the quality of life of women who had breast cancer who consumed coconut oil, and how it showed that they had better appetites, they were less fatigued, they were less depressed. There was lots of various benefits to coconut oil. So it's not really related to the anti-inflammatory diet, but I thought that I would put that in there because I think that I love coconut oil. I tell a lot of people to use coconut oil for many, many different things, not necessarily for eating, in my world, GYN world, but coconut oil is great. And they even showed that there was, actually, I do take that back. There was one research that did show that it did help with inflammation in the body. So coconut oil is not that bad for helping with inflammation in the body. But they do say that olive oil is the best kind of cooking oil. I mean, it's a, olive oil is used in a Mediterranean diet. And they're not quite sure. I'm sure there's some research out there, but I didn't necessarily find it. But, Mediterranean diet, there's a very healthy diet. And, is it related to the olive oil or whether to their healthy living where they eat lots of fruits and vegetables? That's up for debate. But it's a very good, olive oil is very good to cook, even put on your salads and stuff. Okay, so then let's look at omega-3 fatty acids. Omega-3 fatty acids are really, really good for anti-inflammatory diet. They definitely help decrease inflammation in the body, and they help decrease your risk of heart disease, cancer, a whole bunch of, because you're decreasing that inflammation in your body as well. So what are omega-3 fatties? They are things like walnuts, flaxseed, kidney or navy beans, cold water fish, tuna, salmon. If you don't like fish, they do recommend that you eat fish at least 3 times a week, flounder, sole, or the tuna fish or the salmon. But if you don't like fish, definitely to get a fish oil supplement. I personally use Carlson's fish oil supplement. I can put a link down at the bottom. I'm just going to make a note for myself. Carlson's, because if you think about it, it's fish oil. Like some people are like, ooh, is it going to taste like fish or anything like that? I find that the Carlson's fish oil supplements do not have a fishy taste at all. You can do the pill form, and they're really, really wonderful. And there's so many great benefits of doing the fish oil supplement if you don't like, eating fish. Because some people don't. I only like certain fishes. I like tuna. Tuna and probably salmon are the only kind of fish that I really like. I try to do the other ones, but they're too fishy tasting for me, so I can totally understand if people don't want to have fish. All right, so let's talk about healthy snacks with a anti-inflammatory diet. Again, I'm going to tell you fruits and vegetables are the key to this. Fruit, and then even your celery, your carrot sticks. Doing nuts like almonds or walnuts are really great. Walnuts are really high in the omega-3 fatty acids, as I mentioned. Doing plain or unsweetened Greek yogurt because you want to make sure it's plain unsweetened, because then there's sweeteners in there. That's another whole kind of issue. And so definitely healthy snacks. And I always encourage people, this has nothing to do with the anti-inflammatory diet, but you got to make sure that you eat like 3 meals a day, but you also like little snacks in between. And when you do that, you are stimulating your metabolism. A lot of people, when they want to diet and to lose weight, they say, well, I'm just going to stop eating, which is like the worst thing that you can actually do. Because what happens is that when you eat 1 meal a day, your body, just think, food is fuel. So your body goes, oh man, she's not going to eat for another 24 hours. I need to store this energy. How am I going to store it? Well, stored energy is fat. So that food that you eat is going to actually then turn into fat. And that's going to defeat the purpose of you trying to lose weight. You have to keep stimulating your metabolism. If you eat your meals, 3 meals, and even if it's like a couple of carrot sticks, just in between, you're going to be stimulating your metabolism, and your body's going to be like, yeah, I can burn this all off because I know she's going to be feeding me in a couple of hours. So that's really, really important just for your metabolism as well. Okay, so if you're going to want to put sweeteners in your meals instead of putting your typical sweeteners that we put in, whether it's brown sugar, honey, and all that kind of stuff, some great sweeteners that again are little fruits and vegetables. Apples are great sweeteners. Apricots are great sweeteners. Berries. A lot of times when now they have these recipes for like muffins and for cookies that use applesauce as your sweetener instead. And that's a great alternative and a lot healthier for us as well. We want to either decrease or eliminate caffeine in our diet, which can be very, very difficult. I know for me it can be difficult. I need my 1 cup of coffee in the morning. So to me, I have 1 cup of coffee in the morning and that's it. For people who are constantly drinking coffee, you got to really cut that down a lot, definitely a lot. With alcohol intake, that's another inflammation causing liquid. So you either want to eliminate it or really moderate it down a lot. You don't want to be drinking too much alcohol. Another great thing to do is to add a probiotic to your life or to eat fermented foods. Now, another whole conversation could be gut health and gut flora. Now, we have a lot of good bacteria in our gut, and when we take medications that we probably have taken over our whole life, and when we take antibiotics, especially take medications, we not only get rid of that good bacteria, we're getting rid of the infection that we have, but we're also getting rid of all that good gut flora. And that good gut flora helps us keep healthy and help decrease inflammation in our body. So we need to rebuild our gut flora, and that can simply be done by a probiotic or by eating fermented foods. Fermented foods are things like, now I'm going to say sauerkraut, but not probably typically the sauerkraut that you go get from the store, because that has been processed at some level. So I'm talking about making your own sauerkraut with cabbage. It's really not that hard. It's just some water and some salt, and it's really easy to do. But making your own sauerkraut, kefir. Kefir is a drink that you can do. They have them like in the stores now. To me, it's almost like drinking Greek yogurt. It's one of those kind of drinks that you can get from the store. But you can also, again, you can get another one. You can get, there's live cultures that you can get, and then you can just get organic milk and add it to that, and you can make your own kefir. I like kefir. I think it's really, really awesome. Kombucha tea is another fermented drink. It's like a tea. You can get like, it's a Scooby or a Scoby. I don't know which way you want to call it. But again, you can make it your own, or there's stuff that you can buy in the store. That's another great fermented food. And then there's, I always, most people know, whoever knows me, I am I don't know, I love beer, and I love small craft breweries, and we actually make our own beer here. And when you talk about fermented foods, not necessarily beer that's created in a big factory, but when you actually make your own beer, when you actually can see it when it's fermenting, you can actually see, all the little yeast and all the bacteria in there, and it's really, really cool. So that's another great fermented. Not that I'm saying that we drink lots of beer or anything like that. Make sure you either moderate or not at all. But that's another great fermented food. So getting that, I think, I see healthy gut and healthy body. Yes, definitely. Getting your gut healthy is very, very important. It's also besides getting a stress-free life, which I know is very difficult in our society, and getting that inflammation down in our body, having a healthy gut is also wonderful. Another great thing to help with inflammation food-wise is a low glycemic load foods. Now, what does that mean? That means, now, in the beginning of the show, I was kind of talking to you about cortisol and what cortisol does. When we have stress, our bodies, the cortisol level releases, and it increases your glucose level because it increases it because it's immediate energy, because the whole concept is you're in a stressful situation, your body wants to, it's that fight or flight response. You know, it's, I got to get out of here kind of, or I got to fight this off. So you want to avoid those spikes in glucose. This, you know, the same kind of concept. And a low glycemic load is foods that gradually will increase your glucose level and then bring them back down. There are certain foods that you'll eat, and especially like carbs and stuff, and you'll eat, and it'll, like, your spike, you'll have all this energy, and then like you'll just drop to the ground afterwards. What you want are foods that are low glycemic, which kind of bring our sugar levels up a little bit and then bring them back down. So those would be things like sweet potatoes, most fruits, as I was saying before, non-starchy vegetables, so not necessarily your potatoes, carrots, barley. Those are kind of, you can go online and you can put low glycemic foods, and you know, they'll actually have the rating of the glycemic level on there for you. So definitely check that out. And then you also, foods that are really inflammatory are red meat and dairy. So, you know, they say that, you know, if you're going to have red meat, only like at least once a week, if that, trying to avoid dairy foods as well. That's very inflammatory as well, trying to avoid those foods. And then also, no processed food. Processed food is very, very bad. I know it's very hard in our society. We are living in a go, go, go world. You know, and also when you go to the food store, food is not cheap anymore. I don't know what's happening in the world, but I feel like the food just keeps going up and up and up. And it's expensive to go food shopping nowadays, and it's actually expensive to eat healthy, which is really a shame, and I wish it was the other way around. So if you can avoid all of those processed foods, that is definitely very important. So that's kind of anti-inflammatory diet in 32 minutes. I'm sure I missed something. I'm sure I had something in my head and I forgot to say it. But hopefully you found all this information very beneficial. I see lots of people came on tonight, and I am so happy. I see Dave, I see Brenda, I see Sandra, I see Debbie. Hello everybody. I love Megan, Esther, I see Jason. I see so many people, and I'm so grateful. So grateful that you all have showed up. I hope that you enjoyed. Please share this with anybody that you think would find this beneficial. Also, if you find anybody would be beneficial from Women's Health on the Go. Remember, I offer telemedicine to women who can't get to the GYN's office, and I can do a lot of things via telemedicine. I can talk about birth control. I can do Plan B prescriptions. I can talk about menopause, STDs. I can talk about anti-inflammatory diet. I can talk about natural alternative ways to take care of ourselves. So if you know someone, please make sure that you share womenshealthonthego.com, or also please share this video with other people. That would be awesome. I am here every Monday at 8 p.m. If you have a suggestion, I think I saw a suggestion on here before. I'll have to scroll back something, but I did see somebody suggest something, so I'm going to have to go back. It's a little hard to see. It's a little tiny little section, but definitely if you have a suggestion for a show, I would be more than happy to do the show on that. Next week, I feel like I'm going to have to go back to some kind of women's health issue, not the anti-inflammatory diet. I did essential oils last week. I do want to keep also, I may do picking the right birth control and all the different birth control options next week. So it might not be as exciting next week, but I love talking about this kind of stuff. So again, thank you so much for showing up. As I always say, remember, women's health matters, our bodies matter. So let's make sure we take care of ourselves so we can live a long and healthy life. Thank you so much for joining me. Again, womenshealthonthego.com. Thank you so much, everyone. Bye-bye.